Have you ever felt like your co-parent is constantly manipulating situations, twisting conversations, or trying to turn your child against you? If so, you're not alone. One of the most common reasons parents reach out to me is because they feel exhausted by a co-parent who is creating drama, stirring conflict, or making them question themselves. And usually, the first thing they want to know is, how do I make them stop? Look, the answer might surprise you because before we deal with your co-parent's behavior, we need to talk about yours. At this point, you've banked a mountain of negativity. Negativity fueled not by you, but by your co-parent. This isn't your fault, but that doesn't mean you have to accept it. I'm going to help you with that. The first step is to release the emotions, blocking rational thinking, firm communication with your co-parent, and good decision making. When someone is manipulating you, they're often controlling your emotions. And when they're controlling your emotions, they're also controlling your reactions. So let's take your power back. Think about how you've been feeling lately. Maybe you're angry. Maybe you're hurt. Maybe you're worried about what your child is hearing or concerned that they're going to start believing all that crap. Look, maybe you're exhausted just from trying to defend yourself or figure out how to make this behavior stop. All of these feelings are valid, but they won't help you productively address manipulative behavior with your co-parent. So, what I want you to do is imagine your brain like a computer that's frozen. You keep clicking the mouse, but nothing's happening. What do? Well, you call tech support if you have them. And what do they tell you to do? Reboot it. That's exactly what we're going to do with your co parenting mindset. Here's a simple exercise I teach parents. So, I want you to grab pad of Post-its or sticky notes. Okay, not your phone. We actually want physical sticky notes because we're going to create actually four visual reminders that will help you stop reacting emotionally and start responding intentionally with your co-parent. Okay, step one, create your anchor. Take your first sticky note and draw an anchor on it. Doesn't have to be great. I'm certainly not good at drawing. Something like this. Now, once you have your anchor drawn on the sticky note, think back to a positive moment you shared with your co-parent. I know. Okay. So some of you are thinking, Teresa, really, I'd rather not. But stay with me because this is important. Maybe it was your first date. Maybe it was when your child was born, or maybe it was a conversation that made you laugh. It doesn't matter as long as it is a positive memory. Underneath the anchor you drew, write a word or two that describes how you felt in that moment. Not how you feel now, how you felt then. Happy, excited, loved, hopeful. Maybe just draw an emoji that captures that feeling. Then write a few words that help you remember the moment in time when all this took place. Maybe it's first date or holding our baby, or maybe it was a beach trip you were on. Whatever it takes to take you back there. Now, let me explain why this matters. This anchor is not about getting back together. It's not about pretending everything was wonderful then or is awesome now. It's not about excusing bad behavior. The anchor exists for one reason, and that is to help you recast your co-parent as someone with whom you've proven you can share positive moments with. This will help lift the lens that is clouding your thinking every time you interact with them. When hostilities begin to flare, the anchor gives you a place of peace to return to. So your anchor right here. Step two, define your destination, not your physical destination, but your emotional one. How do you want to feel? Grab your second Post-it note, and at the top of it, write my destination. Okay, my destination. This is where you make the shift from focusing on what isn't working, what you don't want, to focusing on what you do want. I don't want conflict. I don't want manipulation. I don't want drama. I don't want stress. But look, if you're only focusing on what you don't want, your mind stays stuck there and there's no room to focus on what you do want. So instead, write down how you want to feel: peaceful, respected, calm, relieved, hopeful, happy. This sticky note becomes your destination. After all, you can't get somewhere if you don't know where you're going. Step 3, create your before note. Now, grab a third sticky note and write before at the top of it, and then write both of your first names, you and your co-parents' first names. Under that, write the 3 strongest negative emotions you're carrying around toward your co-parent. Maybe it's anger or resentment or disappointment, frustration, whatever is true for you. Then underneath that, write how you identified yourselves as a couple when you were together. Mr. and Mrs., husband and wife, life partners, fiancés, something else, blah, blah, blah. Now, take your pen and draw a big circle with a line through those emotions, then cross out the relationship title. Why? Because that version of you and your co-parent is over. You are no longer husband and wife or romantic partners or life partners or whatever. You are a parenting team. Okay, so that old you is gone. This note reminds you to let go of the past so you can make room for a better future. Step 4, create your after note. Now, grab your final sticky note. Okay, at the top, write after, and then write both of your first names. Okay, and then the 3 qualities you want your co-parenting relationship to have, and put a plus sign in front of each one of them. Honest, maybe, cooperative, peaceful. Okay, below that, then write your children's names. We're going to use the hypothetical Emma and Liam, and put co-parents of. In the corner, put a smiley face. This note represents your new positive co-parenting relationship. Not a marriage, not a romance, a co-parenting partnership. Your teammates, the relationship you're creating now is the one your children need. All right, you've got your anchor, your destination, your before, your after. Now put them to use. Place these notes somewhere you'll see them when you are most likely to communicate with your co-parent. Maybe it's near your computer, near your phone, or on your desk, in your car, little glove box, flip it down, in your purse. Maybe you need a couple sets of them, so create copies. Then the next time you receive a frustrating text, email, or phone call, do this. Look at your before note. Everything's crossed out. Remember that. That's not who you are anymore. Then your destination. That's where you want to be. That's how you want to feel. And then after that, remember, this is your anchor. This is what's possible. Okay? You guys do have a potential to be cordial toward one another and cooperative. And then finally, this is what you're shooting for. This is what you're working for. And when you have that, you are far more likely to interact positively with your co-parent, having reset that mindset. You've rebooted. You're far less likely to react emotionally, far more likely to respond intentionally. And that is what your children deserve. That's the co-parenting mindset reboot.